Good evening. So, thank you for having me here on this wonderful, kinda long evening. For some of you, you have been diligent in hearing the Spirit of God since 8:30 a.m. I hear you. I ain't asked you to complain about it. Thank you to the United Church of Christ, my church home, and thank you to the Collegium of Officers and whoever had the bright, wise, brilliant idea of thinking to bring me here this evening. You are smart. You are smart. Thank you for bringing me here to lead in an already dynamic worship service after an already dynamic plenary. This is a new thing, my being here. A new thing in ways you can look at me and already tell, and others which you'll know in just a few minutes. And I am in a season of new things right now. My wife, Mallory, is at home with our brand new baby daughter. And everything about that is new. Listen, you know what I learned? You know how boys will shoot up at you while you're changing their diapers? Girls can do that too. Did you know that? Don't ask how I found out. Don't ask. New things. There are other family here. My brother's here. There are friends. There are folks from University Church in Chicago where I serve as pastor, and I am so honored to represent them right now. There are folks from Illinois Conference who are here, folks from Chicago, folks from Next Generation Leadership Initiative, folks from all the other acronyms that the UCC has. I am so glad to represent you. I'm trying to represent all of y'all very well, but if nothing else, my mother is here tonight. And so, I know I'm gonna give one amen no matter what. Where you at, Ma? Huh? All right. Now, a meditation, that's what it says by my name, but I think you've been tricked. See, because I'm not only Pastor Julian, I'm also Jay Quest. And so when the music comes on, some of you will be trying to meditate. You shouldn't do that. You should not do that. And some of you will clap, some will not know if you should clap, if you should stand up, if you should sit down. It'll feel a lot like Sunday service back where you're from, because you won't know what to do after a thing, right? I have only one rule. My only rule is this, and it's that we all clap in unison. Because listen, y'all, we have not done that yet during Synod. Some of y'all have been on 3/4 time. Some of y'all have been on double time. I just want us to clap in unison. So can we practice that really quick? Everybody stand up real quick. We need to stretch out a little bit, right? Okay, you're losing it. Come on, y'all. Put your hands up. This is hip hop right here, by the way. This is hip hop. Come on, y'all. Put your hands up. Say yeah. And I will be your flashlight. And if you need me, I will walk with you. I'll be your flashlight. Come on, and I will light your darkness until it looks like sunshine. And I will be your flashlight. And this is what y'all gonna say right here. Y'all gonna say this. Yo, go get 'em. Go get 'em. Go get 'em. Go get 'em. And I am the carrier of hope. Vision rhyme from a pigeonhole. And vision lines pull them out like a fishing pole. A stitch in time took years, but my fit is whole. I love sugar, got butter, so it's kitchen time. Give a dime to the poor, give $1 more. A prayer for for the youth, gang banging in the floor. Stress hit her till she fell, couldn't take it, so she made lemonade, got down on the floor. You're on the PM World Tour, pure encourage him, quest opening. Young Jim Morrison, soul searching with a torch lit, walking through the forest like it was my office, like only God called him and gave him the blueprint. Shine on him like the skyline. Jesus, I was in a cave and living like dark was a brother middle name till I felt something on me start to say that I will be your flashlight. And if you need me, I will walk with you. I'll be your flashlight. And I will light your darkness until it looks like sunshine. And I will be your flashlight. Y'all ready to do y'all part again? And the people say, go get 'em, go get 'em. Go get 'em, go get 'em. Louder. Go get 'em, go get 'em. Louder. Go get 'em, go get 'em. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good. Now, some people can't get with hip hop, so they're just like, you know what? I don't know anything about it. It sounds like nonsense to me. It sounds like noise. There's some people who even go as far to say that it's the devil's music. There's some evil about hip hop, right? Well, before you go too far down that path, you should listen to the words of another older poet who said, I will lead the blind by ways they have never known. I will lead them down unforeseen paths. I will turn their darkness into light before them, and I will make the rough places smooth. That's not an MC, y'all. That's Isaiah 42:16. And never mind the other few moments in the Bible where they mention light, a couple times, 263 actually, including the Apocrypha. But who's counting? Who's counting? Tonight is not about an apology for hip hop. Tonight is about doing a new thing, church, which usually means that an old thing must cede some of its space and authority to allow room for the new thing to do what the new thing do. It means loss. It means loss, certain loss. And this church body is experiencing it in some ways. For some people, loss means devastation. We don't have to look at what the national church is doing and what you all have been doing for 12 plus hours today. We can look at our own lives and know that change is hard. How many people have a decision to make or a thing that they're moving into right now? And no, it is not easy. Our Darwinian sense wants to keep what we have because we have survived with what we have. It wants to preserve homeostasis, stability, but the very reason we've become stable in the first place is because we've been forced to change, to adapt, to give up. It's biologically true. It's psychologically true. It's true of institutions. It's true of people. See, the Jewish folk in John chapter 2 are a temple people. And they don't just like fancy buildings. They just don't build temples for the sake of building temples. They believe that the presence of God is found inside of the temple and nowhere else. And they believe this, not for any sort of reason, but because God told it to them. They're not making this up. They take the temple seriously, because protecting the presence of God is for them at the center of their faith. So in John chapter 2, when Jesus comes in and cleans the temple, starts flipping over stuff, using whips and cords, and says, destroy this temple, and I will raise it up in 3 days. It doesn't look prophetic. It looks disrespectful. They can't hear what Jesus is truly saying, that the temple, which used to be about faith, wasn't about faith anymore, but had become a nesting place for politicians and marketeers, or that the presence of God is not trapped in a building, but now has seeped into humanity, and that his body had become a temple. Destroy it, and I will raise it in 3 days, because it's not there, or it's not here or there. It is there, 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 the presence of God. We all have access now. But the people, the temple folks, they don't hear renewal. They don't hear preparing for a new thing. All they hear is destroy. The Huda temple, and what you gonna do? And they become stuck in their old ways that have now become insufficient. We can't receive renewal when we make idols out of what we have created. This is my instinct about the challenge of church. I live in Chicago, a city with beautiful church buildings, and they are on every corner too, I promise you. And with 506 murders last year, we are the murder capital of the nation. We don't need more church. We need better church. Church willing to do things different. Got churches preaching at them and folks ain't listening. Need to do something more to get their attention. They in jail already. They don't need another sentence. A spit of verse how God visioned them. Envision and curse, because vision and church need listening. But y'all don't want to listen to these kids. We just riddle them with riddle and figure that they too different to redeem them. Sit them in front of TVs and let them housewives keep them interested. If they don't come to church, then forget them then. They lost. Meanwhile, we dying staring at they cross. But we don't want to change because it worked for so long, made us so strong, never go away till it stopped. Now it's your church stranded on the highway. And God passed like, should have did it my way. We humans are a proud race, aren't we? For good reason. We've learned to build pyramids and aqueducts. We built cities and buildings so tall that they shoot into the sky. If you want to visit one of those cities, you fly there. Can you believe it? We have landed on the moon and gone from carvings on caves to cartoons to screens like this behind me. We did this. We dug underground as far as we could go and found elements that allow us to power cities and make bombs, but also reheat our food. Praise Jesus for leftovers. We did this internet we created. People are tweeting right now and hashtagging. You wrote something and somebody somewhere else read it right now. This is an invisible framework that somehow exists and controls the physical world, which we also created. We are awesome, y'all. And if there are any skeptics left, remember that it was the human race that found a way to put peanut butter and jelly in the same jar. This is conquest, y'all. But for this great portfolio, we have still not figured out how to live in peace, or how to love our neighbor, or how to be fair to one another, or how to curb our own greed, or how to transcend the most pressing moments of our time. No, we are still stuck and in love with the idols that illuminate our stuckness. These situations of violence, of injustice, of partisan nonsense, of lack of new ideas, of arguing again and again and again and again, of broken relationships, of jobs that don't fulfill, but we can't leave them because we got a debt the size of this room right now. And veterans, how do we treat them? We don't. And how do we treat our brothers and sisters who are trying to cross the border? We don't. Not like humans, we don't. And it's a sin to grow old in this country. What we do to dishonor our mothers and fathers. And don't even get me started on what we do to my people in the margins. I have to beg my country for my basic human rights so I can have my God-given dignity, because some fool in a suit who can't tell Luke from Luke Skywalker decided to read the Bible to get his values and now wants to play God in the halls of Congress. This is old temple nonsense. We have shown our inability to pull ourselves up. What we have now is insufficient. If we don't get it right, it won't matter what the resolution looks like. The next thing we create will be insufficient as well, because it's not just a new thing we need. We need God. We need spirit. We need fire. I love the image of fire because, like change, fire is debatable. Fire, uncontrolled, when it gets up on the canopy of trees and spreads from tree to tree, can devastate a forest. And California is in fire season right now. And earlier today, all throughout today, we are mourning 19 firefighters who lost their lives fighting fire. And I grew up having a phobia of fires. Remember that show In Living Color, and they had Fire Marshal Bill? I was scared of that. I turned every time it happened. And we all grew up with Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires. I was taught to avoid fire. It's cultural now. When somebody loses their job, they get fired. When somebody's in trouble, they are under fire, and we know that that's not a good thing. Our society is averse to fire, but we never think of the other side. Fire makes s'mores. You can't make a s'more without fire. In the Hebrew Bible, the most frequent appearance of God is as fire. It's not a wrath and destroying fire. It's a cleansing and purifying fire. Fire purifies. Moses sees a burning bush and is led into his destiny. The prophet Elijah, to prove that God is real, starts a fire on wet logs. Fire destroys. No, fire is God's way of appearing. And a fire can save a forest too. A controlled wildfire can create an ecology that sustains plants, water, and trees. That means somebody starts a fire on purpose. Did you know that there are some trees, pine trees, that have seeds locked in cones so tight, covered in resin, and the best way to release the seed inside that tree to prepare it for growth is through fire? Did you know that the sequoia tree seed can only grow on bare mineral soil? And that the best way to get bare mineral soil is by setting fire to the ground. When the fire comes, the pine cone expands and the ground expands so the sequoia seed can be where it needs to be. Did you know that there are some things that can only reach their true potential by going through the fire first? Do we know what really happened at Pentecost? When the Spirit came on them as tongues of fire. Fire alters the landscape. We need not fear the fires around us, church. Destruction is not the end of the story. God's fire is expanding us, creating new opportunities even right now, inside this room and all around the world that awaits us when we leave here. You may ask what transformation looks like. It may seem too much to even begin going down that path. Well, begin here. As we continue in worship, ask if the fire is burning in you or in your local church. Ask what a new fire might look like. the one that will no doubt burn some things we've held dear, but will purify us for growth. What will it take? We will have to look to our God, the source of our strength. Our greatest efforts have brought us again here to the throne of God, seeking fire for our wet logs. Come, Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit. For the thing that needs doing is waiting to be released. It is an energy we have not felt yet. It is the Spirit of God burning in us.